So 6:01 on May 4th, 2026. Going to start the town council meeting. Call to order, roll call. All council's members are present. And we're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we get a full house here, so thanks for everybody for coming. I'm going to start off with public comment. If anybody has a public comment, please come up to the podium, state your name and what you'd like to talk about. So we'll leave that open for right now if anybody likes to do so. Anybody online? Nope. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we have a recognition for Jim Clark's 19 years of service and retirement as Winthrop School's crossing guard. Jim's, here he is.
This is the face you see at the crossing every morning for the past 19 years when school's in session. Jim has been more reliable than my dogs and cats. Over the 19 years, Jim has served as the crossing guard out here on Highland and Main. Good weather, bad weather, worse weather, he's always there. He, over the years, has had a couple close calls and a couple saves, not to mention one a year and a half ago that saved the young man, but I'm sure he's had more than that throughout his 19-year career. And I just want to take this opportunity to recognize his 19 years and the fine job he did up there and how appreciative we are of the 19 years of your service. In honor of that, got this going away plaque for you that you could throw away or hang on your wall.
Thank you for all your service over the years.
Pete?
Yes.
Well, I certainly didn't expect this. And I want to thank everybody, and I'm going to miss those kids. So they were very important. And thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I would also like to take a quick opportunity to introduce you to Jessica Fitch. Jessica, please stand up and introduce your husband, fiance. Jessica has been hired as our new crossing guard.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. I too, if anybody else wants to speak from the council, but Jim, thank you very much. It was a great job. See you out there every day doing the work, and it's very important because it is a busy intersection. And been here my whole life, and knowing you my whole life, have the kids coming back and forth. It was a pleasure to see you out there, to making sure everything worked well. So thanks again. All right, now another recognition of Shane Taylor, Chris, somebody help me, Sagulo, thank you, and Lance Rennie of the Winthrop Ambulance Service. We've got Chief here to make a presentation.
So, Mr. Town Manager, council members, I'd like to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to present some recognition certificates to a few of our outstanding employees that work for Winthrop Ambulance. As a lot of you may know, we go out on some pretty horrendous calls extremely tragic at times, not the most pleasant to see or be part of, but it is part of our job. But every now and then we go out on these calls and we have that one or two calls that just makes us sit back and go, you know what, this is why we do this job. And it takes all those bad calls away. And it's probably one of the greatest feelings that us as EMS providers could ever experience. At this time, I'd like to call up Shane, Chris, and Lance to the podium here. Maine EMS has recognized them as well as Winthrop Ambulance. And the letter for each of them is the same, and I'd like to read that from Maine EMS. And it starts off in 1904, Bessie Anderson Stanley wrote, "To know even one life has breathed easier because of you, because you have lived. This is to have succeeded." In these words, Maine EMS and the Maine EMS for Children program would like to recognize the high quality of patient care and exemplary service during a recent EMS response. On March 6, 2026, at approximately 0437, Winthrop Ambulance Service responded to a woman in active labor. During the course of this EMS response, the crew successfully delivered a newborn baby boy, providing continued EMS care until arrival of the patient's midwife. This crew then took care of that baby. The midwife came, took over, and although they did not transport them to the hospital in consultation with the emergency room doctor and the patient's primary care, the baby was extremely well. There was no complications, and they were able to stay at home, and the midwife took care of them from there. So, and again, it's calls like these to know that, you know, we make a difference out there. And even though I should say the mother delivered, Shane happened to be the one that caught the baby. But everything went well because of the outstanding work. And there's one person that's missing. He couldn't be here tonight, and that would be paramedic Don Flanagan. We'll present him with his certificate at a later time. So along with that certificate, each one of them will receive a stork pin that they can use on their uniforms if they would like. So Shane, job well done. Right? And are you good? You. All right, Shane, I'd like for you to stay up here. You don't mind?
Guess we'll see.
So on the other end of that realm of delivering a brand new baby into the world is Winthrop Ambulance Service is honored to present the Maine EMS Phoenix Award to Shane Taylor. There is another person that also is receiving this award, and he also is Don Flanagan, who is not here tonight. And this award is in recognition of his outstanding performance during the resuscitation of a patient who suffered an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. Through this precise clinical execution, sound judgment, and steadfast professionalism, Shane contributed directly to the restoration of spontaneous circulation and the patient's return to a neurologically intact life. His actions reflect the highest standards of emergency medical care and embody the core mission and values of Maine EMS and our service. And again, Shane. Thank you
Thank you, Chief.
for allowing me to present that.
Well done, guys. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you guys for everything you do. I wouldn't be here today without people like you. So, it's really appreciated. And, I think it's, you guys don't get thanked enough, right? So,
And a little fun fact, Chris's wife has actually shot the cover photo for our town report the last 2 years. So cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Wonderful. All right. All right, now we're going to move on to items 78, public hearing for More Life Family Campground Amusement permit renewal application. We're going to open up the public hearing at 6:12. Well, you don't have to. I mean, I think if there's any questions, then I'll probably ask you to stand up, but if we don't, I can let you sit there comfortable. Anybody on the council have any questions for that?
Anything changed from what you're doing from last year?
Just as for record, if nobody heard it, nothing has changed, so thank you. We got to close the public hearing. Going to close the public hearing at 6:12 still. All right.
More to Life Family Campground.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All are in favor? Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. Thank you. All right, we're going to open up a public hearing for items 80. It's Fast Eddie's Drive-In Special Amusement Permit Application. We'll open up the public hearing at 6:13. Anybody here from Fast Eddie's? Not seeing anybody online? No, okay. Yeah, I'm sure they are. They just freshly opened up for the season. So you guys have any questions or concerns?
I guess, Chief, we haven't gotten any complaints or anything. Okay.
It's a renew. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we should have. Yeah, I believe they do something on their car night on Wednesday nights, I think down there, that when they have music down there, so.
We've been a little bit more diligent this year about making sure these applications get in the hands of businesses that might qualify under the ordinance.
Sure, great. Right, well, let's, if you guys don't have anything else to say, we'll just close the public hearing at 6:14. And we'll open up items 81, consideration of a special amusement permit renewal application.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All are in favor. Thank you, guys. All right. Moving on to open a public hearing, items 82, public hearing for White Duck Special Amusement Renewal application. And that public is at 6:15. Anybody here from the White Duck? I think I saw somebody already. Would you like to come up? No. You don't have to. I don't, unless these folks have questions, I'll probably have you come to the podium, but you have any questions?
The only question I had, it sounds like you guys are making.
Yeah, I just so people can hear you, it'd be easier if you can come to the podium. Thank you.
You guys sick of me yet? Renee Adams from the White Duck. The tent has been moved 12 feet because in accordance of the standard 20-foot setback.
Yep.
Tent has been moved. Mark has been out to put his eyes on it and make sure it's in the appropriate place. We are currently, we had to cut some of our deck seating, so that's being finished, and then the stage walls will go up.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anything else, guys?
I guess just a comment. Seeing the interactions with you and the neighbors. You know, from the council's perspective, we appreciate it. You guys are taking the initiative to do that, and we just want to say thank you for doing that, or at least I will.
No,
So
thank you very much.
Yeah, no, very well done. Thank you.
So, Jim, I will note that Mr. and Mrs. Doobie are online, and as they told me that they would be, so I don't know if they want to speak to it, but they've given us a good report, just like Zach just mentioned.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Doobie, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, we don't think so. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for being on. All right, thank you. So let's close the public hearing at 6:17. And items 83, yes, please.
I'd like to move to approve the special amusement permit renewal application for the White Duck.
second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? No. All in favor? All are in favor. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's move on to items 84. Public hearing, sex offender residency ordinance. It's a public hearing. I'm going to open that up at 6:17.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's taking this one over? Driving the ship? Anybody? Chief, thank you.
Over the past year or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, we've received calls from Department of Corrections, probation, parole, in regards to housing availability in Winthrop for sex offenders. And the reason why they're calling Winthrop, calling Monmouth, calling the smaller towns, because we have no ordinance in place restricting sex offenders, and in the bigger cities they do, and so they're reaching to the outlying communities. And this was just and I'm not saying that we're getting an influx of them into the community, we're not, but this is just a step in the right direction, putting provisions in place to make sure that if we do have any sex offenders that move into our community, that they are outside of these safe zones. And that safe zones are 750 feet from property lines of any public schools, private schools. It was just a step that I felt we needed to set in place for the future and the growth of the community. So if you have any questions.
Chief, just real quickly too, with that, and I remember reading it, but I don't have it in front of me right now. With that, you said schools, but what about daycares and anything like that? Does that fall into the same thing of, is that like a learning facility? So with that,
If they are certified daycares, yes. If they're not, no.
okay. All right, I just think it's important. I just want to make sure I made note of that. Thank you. Anybody else?
I had a couple things. There was some, and I can't remember where I read it. There was some consequences for property owners that house or allow them or whatever within that. Now, is there any ruling if they, well, they should be vetting them, I guess, from here on out.
Correct.
Anything's, if they find out without.
They are given a time frame to comply with the ordinance. After that time frame, I think it's 90 days. After that time frame expires, then they're subject to.
Are there I was gonna say, are there regulations in place that allow them to evict them within that time frame? Because I know that is a very tough thing to do sometimes.
It is. But if they're taking the steps to do that, then there'll be no ramifications on that.
Yeah.
Provided that they follow through on it, and that's something we're gonna have to follow track.
How about, one other thing I had, exceptions. Do we have to have any?
Yes, by state law, if someone is already living within that zone, when we enact the ordinance, it doesn't go backwards. It starts from that date forward and you can't evict them or,
Can't set a time frame
nope.
to make it retro, yeah, so that to, you know, they got 3 months, 6 weeks.
So if they're already established there by 1 day prior, then there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
Thing is, to your point about the, about whether or not you can evict them. The issue, one of the issues, obviously, is it can take up to a long time to evict somebody. But I would not want that property owner to be responsible in the event that they are in the process of doing that, if this individual resides on their property. You see what I'm saying? So the compliance with the ordinance should be, and that we should say something in there or something to protect people, because in the event something, God forbid, happened, I wouldn't want them to say, oh, they're in violation of this ordinance when
Yeah,
they're trying to act.
And I would be cautious on that just because that would be used as an excuse. Could be. Oh, we're
I would
trying,
wanna-
but there was never anything really established through the court systems. And for us to try to follow something like that is,
Yeah, I would want to make sure push it and make sure it's happening, but
I mean, there could be somebody else, something like, and
Can't use this for that. Because it's, to his point, it's not backwards and they've already established and living there. They have to come up with another reason to have them go. Go ahead.
Do we have a list of like accredited educational centers or daycares or what you were talking about within the town? Because I mean, when you look at this, as far as exceptions, property owners not in violation if the restricted property is created, moved, or enlarged, which results in the designated sex offender residing in the setback as long as it was in place prior to creation, movement, or enlargement. So, I mean, when I look at the map, we've got a few dots on there. I think that the map is very important in this case, because now if we're establishing this, and then if it's going off of property lines, is it possible to have that as like a tax map outlining what those properties are, and then having the 750-foot buffer?
yes. And Dawn and I are going to get together to do up an appropriate map. I've tried doing it on Google Earth, and you got to pay money to be able to make alterations. And as tight as our town manager is, I didn't feel I had the money to.
Understood. Thank you.
So I am going to get together with Dawn or Kennebec Emergency Management, because they're able to do the overlays, and see if I can get some help that way. So we get the exact circumferences from the property lines.
Yeah, thank you. I think that once it's established, you're going off of what you have on that map.
Correct.
So I think that that's very important
Yes.
in this case.
Yeah, I'll have to ask. You want to ask him? You can. Go ahead.
Paul, is there a limit to, or I guess where did we come up with the 750 buffer? Is that
That's state law.
can't go above,
Nope.
go beyond it?
Even being our ordinance, we can write it however we want.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Even being our ordinance, learning from doing all the ordinances we've done in here, it's our ordinance. We should be able to write it however we want, even if it's more restrictive than what the state has. Or, you know,
750 a minimum, or is it a maximum?
No, the state law says no more than 750. If I'm reading that right, correct, Josh?
yes.
okay, because this kind of like, didn't know if we could make it bigger radius. Just as a protection. That doesn't seem, I mean, I get it, but it doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, but, okay, anybody else with anything for the chief? All right.
Just to speak to Roy's question in the ordinance, if a sex offender were to move within that 750-foot buffer, they or their landlord have 30 days in order to come into compliance with the ordinance.
Would happen if someone who's residing in a residence that's gets convicted? How is
You think they're gone?
Pre-established.
Ooh.
On that situation,
That's wild.
what you were just speaking of, they have 30 days, somebody it wasn't disclosed, landowner finds out, they have 30 days to get them out. That's kind of where my question was going, is it's damn near impossible to get somebody out in 30 days.
That's what the law says.
Are you guys able to help with getting them out in 30 days? As far as a actual legal, any sort of legal position?
Like, be out.
What it does is
Not that I want a
after
longer
the
time
30,
frame.
after the 30 days, it kicks the town's legal process into motion
Okay,
and brings them on board. And any, if I remember right, it's anything after that, it's $500 a day, plus attorney fees that the town can go after either the landowner or the individual for.
but what you're saying though is if the process is in motion, I'm just concerned, as a landlord, I mean, if they're housing them and knowingly housing them and breaking the law, I say hammer them. But if somebody is actively trying to go through the process to evict somebody, it makes it very difficult. I mean, it's impossible to get somebody out in 30 days. And I'd just be concerned. Yeah. But if they've started the process and we're gonna just,
I can tell you that as of 12 years ago, when I left my business, the district attorney's office wouldn't even enforce the hotel law. Okay, and that law is drastic. That's like if I say you go, there's no question. And so I don't know how. And one of the reasons they ended up owning a hotel was because they had so much trouble with getting tenants out.
Right.
So I'm on the same page as you with this.
You might,
I can't speak on what the DA's office does or doesn't do. I can speak on the fact that this is a good first step to let people know that you're not welcome in the community in these areas.
I think it's a very good, I'm glad you brought it forward.
I think remedy for that concern for the 30 days would be allowing to appeal fines to the council. That way, say someone has a situation where they are unable to evict in that time frame, rather than, still racking up $500 per day, we would have the ability to say, yep, we're doing everything they needed to do. We can waive that. Correct.
I agree with you.
is that something like what you were just talking? Is that something that, I mean,
Well, first of all, so the town isn't the one levying the fine. It would be the courts at the town's request. So what the ordinance says,
so we would have to request that they,
what the ordinance says is the town may also seek a penalty in the minimum amount of $500 per day. So it would be a court proceeding.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah, but we would have to initiate it. And if somebody was doing due diligence and actually following through with the process and not housing somebody knowingly, then we wouldn't necessarily have to initiate it until we found that either the process was stalled or they just weren't complying at all.
Yeah, so this is a step in the right direction, and then it all has to go through the council anyways now, right? So I mean, I'm good with this. I think this is a good thing.
If you're a landlord in a protected zone, you should put on your application, or you're a convicted sex offender. You do that, and you're accused of discrimination. There's a long road here, but this is a good start.
Chief, I got one last question, and because I don't know, glad you're bringing this up, but Are you, I thought it was, you're notified, aren't you? Once somebody's convicted that lives in the town, is on the, goes on the registry, you guys, the police department is notified, right?
Yeah.
So you're aware of it?
When they are convicted, they're required to come down to the police department and register.
Okay. I
Also send notification?
Not the court, comes from probation.
Oh, I see.
And if they
Yeah.
don't do it, then they're in violation.
Yeah, they have to give their residence to the probation officer too. So,
Yes.
Linda. Did you?
Owners know that there is this ordinance in place. They don't know. I know
Yeah,
people
we
should
would-
know, but
We would have to take a close look to see where they are residing right now. As far as I know, there is no one that is residing in any of the hot zones, correct?
If this is something, if you have either a knowledge or suspicion that this is being violated, is this something that the police department is going to go after these people? Or is it something that we wait until they get picked up for something else and,
No,
or reported or something?
If we know someone's living within the zone, we're gonna go and knock on doors and try to
Excellent.
determine whether it's factual or not.
Thank you. Is it something on the?
Yeah, there is a comment online, average evictions can take up to 6 months, and punishing the landlord if they are making efforts to remove the person should absolutely be considered. So, and I think that's the intent.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think we've covered, I think we covered this, and I really do appreciate bringing this forward, so. Go ahead.
The only hesitation that I would have to approving this would be section 7 with the restricted property and updating the map that. Because if we're going to enact this today, then I want to know exactly where those places.
Hmm.
That's my only hesitation.
Just a minute ago, you had some
Like,
interest.
what about like the YMCA? I mean,
So we did ask the attorney about this and yeah, and he cited a state law that says that this law is restricted to public schools or municipally owned fields, ballparks, and recreation facilities. So, and the YMCA asked about that as well. So just under the law, the YMCA does not qualify.
However, they fall within the safe zone.
Certified.
They fall within the safe zone of this building here.
Well,
about Center Road.
Okay, the center, I thought you were talking about Lonnie's building down the other way.
Like Mechuana or?
No,
No.
Wouldn't those all be considered certified,
Teaching,
like,
educational.
I mean, it says state-owned property leased to a nonprofit organization for purposes of a park, athletic field, or recreation facility.
Yes, but the municipality is not leasing those campgrounds to the YMCA.
Well, it says state-owned here.
Wait.
It says state-owned.
Well, I think this is my personal opinion. I think if you guys have more discussion, that's fine, but I think we ought to put something on the books. And if we want to tweak this and look at it later, I don't want to let, moss grow under our feet on this one. So
that we approve the sex offender.
hold on. Let me close the public hearing.
So to that point, Jim, if we wanted to talk to our legislators about giving municipalities more options
Sure.
for more safe zones, I think that's something that they'd listen to us about, I
I
think.
agree.
in the town?
No, that would be blatantly illegal.
Yeah. All right. So let's close the public discussion at 6:35 unless nobody has anything else. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chief. Go ahead, Linda.
The sex offender residency ordinance as proposed.
Any other discussion?
I really understand the state law, okay? So why can't we have a town ordinance that does protect campgrounds? Who says we can't? Why
Well,
can't?
I think we need to dig a little more deeper, but I'm not going to wait to find out that details tonight, to not have something in place right
We may
today.
dig a little deeper about it. I mean, what are they gonna do? Smack our hand? Because, you know what I mean? It's like, I think we have a right.
Sometimes we can't go above.
Yeah. So
I think the issue would then become enforcement.
Yeah.
in a court.
Yeah.
Someone, an attorney might then say, well, no,
I don't want to set us
now
up
the
for,
whole ordinance is no longer,
We would be opening ourselves up for liability.
yeah, that's what I was
The
thinking
thing
too.
too is a lot of those places are privately owned. We can't say who, I would think we couldn't say who and who's go there and who couldn't. I mean, that's kind of, it gets into a lot lot more things.
Yeah,
So
just-
Not only that, is you're getting into who, which.
I do
places
appreciate
you're
your
gonna
thought on it,
identify
but I think we need to look into it a little bit
privately,
deeper.
gonna identify.
All right, so I got a motion, I got a
Yeah, second.
second, so let's, all are in favor?
I'd like to see a map. I agree with Shannon.
Okay,
say. We can wait for the table, the second reading.
Yeah.
About that.
Okay.
You wanna do-
Yeah.
We can waive the second read.
so what are you trying to encompass? Just help me understand.
Get the identified what the tax maps look like, because right now it's just a dot. I don't know what that 750-foot buffer.
Radius looks like?
Right. I mean, if you're looking at the property for the high school and the middle school, what neighborhoods are surrounding that and everything as well? I'm just looking at the property.
Well, just help me understand what are we trying to identify it for? I think that the police department will know, they'll kind of know what it is, because they deal with it with even somebody who's in a school zone that may, for like dealing drugs or anything like that. They know it's kind of the area. Is that my correct, Chief?
It says 70-foot buffer from the property line, so it's not going to be a direct radius anyways, so.
Give you a visual.
Okay. I guess we. Yeah. Plot it. Yeah. That's fair. Okay. That's fair.
Kind of would like to thank the chief for sorting this all out. Wasn't quite as easy as just getting it out of the book.
Let's reel this back in here, because I do have a motion and I do have a second, and I did ask for where we're at. So all are in favor on this ordinance?
Yeah.
Okay, all are in favor. All right. So now, if we'd like to do anything different, we can go to the next item.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
I'd like, yeah,
Chief, is this gonna be an issue? Because we did.
I think we need to waive it now and adopt it, and then.
that's what I'm
That's what we can
thinking.
do.
Anything is a,
To waive the second reading, the ordinance.
Second.
okay. Any other discussion on this one? Okay, all are in favor? All are in favor. Thank you, guys. Just so you know, I agree with all you guys. I think we should probably can look at it a little later, but yes, I agree, Linda. Yes. All right. Let's move on to item 86, consideration of resolution 2026-6, reappropriating. Looks like $124,382.36 from the lease purchase 2022 and LED lights capital reserves.
So this is a little bit of an entry into our next discussion regarding capital improvements. So as I mentioned at the last meeting, we have more than $124,000 in capital reserves for purposes that are no longer applicable. That includes more than $45,000 for a lease purchase reserve. And we've talked about how we've resolved the town's lease purchases. So what we are proposing is that $45,395 be placed in the gas pump replacement reserve. And the reason for that is that reserve currently has a deficit of more than $20,000 due to some pretty extensive repairs last year. And so if we put that entire $45,000 in, we'd eliminate the deficit, and then we'd still have about $25,000 available for future needs of our gas pumps. So that's number one. Number two is we have nearly $79,000 for LED lights reserve. And of course, we finished our LED light conversion. So what we are recommending is that we put those funds into the library repairs reserve. And so one of the reasons for that is that this year, the library has nearly $60,000 in capital projects that are proposed. That includes $45,000 for drainage improvements, and we've talked about that in the past. $7,500 to repair some 110-year-old exterior steps. And although this memo says $5,000 for parking lot seal coating, since we wrote this, our public works director went over and inspected the parking lot, thinks that we can wait at least another year before that. And so I know the library director has proposed some signage out there. At one time, there was a sign in front of the library. There is no longer. But nonetheless, if we move forward with those projects, if it costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000, we'd still have a balance of about $45,000 for future library needs, which, is a major infrastructure for us. So that is our proposal, and happy to answer any questions that you folks may have. We also provided for you on the back of this memo just what our current balances are in each of our capital reserves.
Linda?
I thought for the drainage, we were going to tackle that with our Public Works. Weren't we talking
Yeah.
about that?
I'd like to have it looked at it.
So what's the status of that?
So I talked with Kevin about this. Kevin, you want to come to the microphone and just let us know
Stretch those legs.
what, if anything, you think our public works team might be able to do to help resolve the drainage issues there?
Yeah, I've briefly looked at it with Richard once before. I'd have to go over and do an in-depth inspection and see what's there and what needs to be changed. It is a lot of money, but again, anytime we're doing something on something like that, we're off the roads doing something else, right? Because we have one machine, and so can we do it? We can do anything. It's just a matter of where our resources are best placed. I mean, I can go and look at it. I'm happy to do that and give you guys a cost benefit of what it would cost to do that. I think that's where we
I
should
think
start.
that's what I would like to see. And if I just jump in here real quick, and I know we've waited for a couple of years. I think with Richard, we've known about this for a few years. We've got something in place that now is working, because I believe he probably will get up here and report. We probably didn't have any flooding this year.
Right.
There's some pumps operational right now. So if it's something you can plan for and set out and save us some dollars without having to send this out to another contractor, and we could do it in-house, that's something that I would like to do personally here. But I think it's something it's not as emergent as it was when it was failing. So I think we need to look at it, come up with a decent plan, and put it in motion at that point. So anybody else want to?
Think discussion.
I'm also, I think that's looking at the steps to repairing the steps. I think that's important. I think we should probably shift the money in for that, because obviously I'm not going to tackle that with our public works folks. I mean, we need somebody professionally to do that and make sure that's appropriate. And, if we need to put some signage up for them as well. And I think we take X dollars and do that.
Okay.
Richard, come to the mic.
Want to jump onto the drainage project. We do have an RFP out for it. There are a number of items that are in pretty poor disrepair. There's an emergency exit in the back that is crumbling, and the inside of that was poured with concrete like 50 years ago, and that's crumbling. That needs to be basically completely torn down and rebuilt. And our chimney you go take a look at the back chimney when you leave here, and looks like it could fall on you at any time. So even if we didn't do the drainage, this motion, there's a number of items that we really have to get to on that building. I mean, even though half of the building is new, half of it's 110 years old.
Go ahead, Linda.
Can we take down the chimney?
Are we using the chimney?
I mean, if we're not using it, yeah.
I think we'd have to have people much more expert on that than me to look at it to answer. I would think
Part of
maybe.
the historic part of the building.
Right. there's all those sorts of things that, yeah.
That,
Well, yeah, but the other thing is there any funds there must be funds somewhere if they're gonna, require us to redo some of this stuff. I'm sure there's got to be funds at the state level or somewhere to be able to utilize that to restore some of it.
The amount of funds that I am finding right now, and I'm trying to get grants for this stuff versus when I first started here is remarkably low. And there's been a kind of a waterfall effect from the federal level down to the state where funds for museums and libraries are almost non-existent right now. So we are faced with that a little bit at the state and federal level. Even like Stephen King said no to us for the first time ever since I've been here. There's just that's kind of what we're faced with. But like I said, there's a few things that we really need to get to, even if Public Works can help us with the drainage. I'd like to look at the RFPs that come in anyway, and probably even sit down with Kevin and look at them. Because one guy who came out, he came with a crew, and he thought there was a pretty extensive problem. We might be able to sit down with him. And he even asked me, he said, would your Public Works jump into this? I said, I'm not sure, maybe. And he said, well, if they did half of it, it might cut the cost in half or something. So maybe we can look at those sorts of creative things. Because, I mean, I know you said you could do everything, but they're talking about French drains and underground stuff, and I don't know, so.
You got any of those RFPs back at all?
No, well, I don't.
What do they do?
I think they're doing.
You don't open them until the deadline is passed.
Okay, that's right. When do they do? When is it?
Week after next, I think, 2 weeks.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my request. I'd like to see that money moved over anyway, because we have a number of items that we really need to tackle.
I'm comfortable moving a amount of money. I'm not comfortable moving the whole amount. Looking at the other capital reserves that we have on here, I think that it should be at a balance across the town. So that's kind of.
Well, if that's the case, I appreciate that, Jim, because what I'd like to do is if you're not comfortable with moving that $79,000 over, I'd like to maybe regroup and come back with another recommendation as to where we might make the best use of those funds.
So we can push this and then maybe get.
I think it's appropriate to do the gas pumps because that's obviously needs to be looked at. And if we need to make sure take care of that and get that settled and have that be on the plus side. And I think we look at the other piece of it because we know we're going to have to replace those pumps. That's probably not, that $25,000 may not even take care of that. So I think you guys want to regroup. I'm happy with that, but I think we should pass the 45, 395, 88 and let that go for the gas pumps. If you guys want to talk about it, but again, I'm not comfortable putting the whole 78, 90, 86, 48.
I just don't want to make a snap decision here at the council.
No, nor do I. That's why I'm thinking about let somebody else.
I think we should just, if we can just move this whole line item for 2 weeks, wait for the RFPs, then we can decide we have the full amount. And we're just moving money to an account right now. What's the difference waiting 2 weeks at this point?
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. I just don't want to dedicate it we can move the money. I don't think I want to put it in a dedicated account right now.
I don't think we should put any money in any dedicated account.
Agreed.
For 2 weeks until we get the RFP back.
Agreed.
Wait a second. Let me make sure I'm following you. So are you talking about the 79,000? You talking about the 45,000?
I'm talking about the whole thing.
The full amount.
Yeah.
Well, but again, let me make the argument that we have an account that's in a deficit position right now. We've got to write that at a minimum.
Okay.
Is that coming in? Why is that in this discussion? Why isn't that?
It's coming from that amount.
Yeah.
Reappropriation.
The reappropriation of that.
It's not a CIP. It's going to come out of their
well,
out of a budget.
Well, the gas pumps are a capital reserve. They have their own capital reserve. It's in a deficit position. We're just trying to at least get that back to zero. And by moving this money over, as Jim pointed out, we're going to have some money there for the inevitable future repairs that those pumps are going to require.
So we still have 79 if we move.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's fine. I think we can. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, so,
That we take $45,395.88 and move it to the reserve for the lease, for the gas
pump.
pump reserve, replacement reserve. Lease purchase. On the lease purchase, 2022 reserve.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All are in favor.
So at the next meeting on the 18th, we will come back with some options for you for reappropriating that other $79,000.
Sounds great.
we'll have the RFPs back by then too. Okay.
will.
Yeah.
We will.
All right. You guys ready to roll? Okay. Items 87, discussion of the fiscal year 2026, 2027 capital improvement program, CIP.
So let me just make really clear here from the jump, we're not seeking a decision tonight.
Correct.
Because as I messaged all of you last week, there's a lot of information here to absorb, and we want you guys to have the time to think about it and consider, exactly what you want to do. Because as I've said before, this is going to be your most challenging decision in relation to the FY27 budget. The directors, here in a little bit, will be able to address any questions that you might have regarding their request. Nick and I will address the questions that you have about finances. But a different approach that we've taken this year is we've annualized the town's capital costs. So if you look in the back of your the information that we left for you here, in the very back, you'll see this stack of spreadsheets that begins like this. And so what you can see, what we've done is, instead of saying, okay, well, we want to spend, I'm just making up a figure here, $100,000 on a dump truck in this year, we've said, okay, the life of that dump truck is how many years. We're going to break up, annualize the cost of that. And so what happens is when you look across, again, I'm looking at this page in particular right now, which is the overview. When you look across that total line, you can see that year after year, it's about $2.3 million in needs that we would have by annualizing these costs. And that's important in order to start setting money aside to build our capital reserve so we can do more cash funding of our capital improvements. So going through this exercise with our directors, we've come up with 7 capital priorities, and those are listed and bulleted in your background memo. Chief among those is the paving project. We know we're going to do at a minimum $500,000 a year in paving. That's a top priority. Plus, we want to start setting money aside for the ladder truck so that we don't have to finance the full cost of that. Plus, we want to do the same thing with our radio communications upgrade, even though we've gotten that $1.1 million.
Did that go through? That's going to.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
thought I
yes.
had. I just.
Yes, yeah, we're still to go with that.
Thank you.
And then lastly, I want to mention the fact that in my opinion, we must put 37% of the annualized EMS capital improvement cost aside, because we are requiring our partner communities to contribute the other 63%. So if they're sending it to us to put aside for capital needs for the ambulance, we need to do our fair share in that regard as well. So when you total up this these 7 capital priorities, it totals up to $1.2 million. And that's what we're here to really focus on tonight, is that $1.2 million and how we would fund that. I will tell you the balance of that $2.3 million, what we plan to do is come back to you at the end of this fiscal year and say, okay, we exceeded our revenues by this much. And I sent you a report today as sort of how we are year to date with that. We underspent our budget by this much. That's our budget surplus. We want to set aside a significant amount of money in order to potentially fund most, if not all, of the remaining, $1.1 million. So are you guys still with me? All right. So getting back to that $1.2 million cost of our 7 priorities. Of that, we're going to have approximately $750,000 on hand. And so where does that money come from? So $350,000 of that, you heard from our auditor, is the amount that we have in excess of the 20% of our unassigned fund balance. So we don't need more than, it was $4 million this past year. We had $4.35 million. We don't need that extra $350,000. We can dedicate that to capital needs because those are one-time revenues. Apply them to a one-time expense, which capital expenses are. So there's $350,000. You will recall that our revenue projections for the coming year are $400,000 in excess of the increase in expenditures. So you take that 400,000 plus the 350, you're up to $750,000 that you can dedicate to capital improvements. So now here comes the tough part. How do you fund the extra $450,000? And so we have laid out 3 different options for you. We've included in this potential impacts on the tax levy. So the tax levy is the total amount of tax dollars that you collect in the year and an estimate on what the increase in the mill rate would be. We don't know what that's exactly going to be because we won't know what property values are and what the overlay will be until we commit taxes in August. And philosophically, we need to move to put a portion of the mill rate every year toward our capital projects. So for instance, getting back to paving, we know we're going to do at least $500,000 worth of paving every year. It helps to address our infrastructure, but in essence, that does become somewhat of an operating cost because we're doing it year after year after year. And it just makes sense that we have a tried and true revenue source to address that high priority need year after year. Hopefully, we'll always have some budget surplus, but that's not ever guaranteed. So here are your 3 options. Option number 1, we could raise that $450,000 completely through taxation, through the total tax levy. So if we did that, the total tax levy in the coming year, and that includes not just the town, but the schools and the county, and we're trying to provide you the most complete picture that we possibly can, would increase by $964,000. That's a 6.77% increase. Now, just to put this into some perspective, 40% of that would be for the school and the county. We're estimating that would increase the mill rate by about 89 cents or 3.85% increase in the mill rate. So a home with a taxable value of $250,000, the increase with this option, annual increase would be $222.50. So that would be the most onerous option immediately on the taxpayers. Option number 2 is you generate that $450,000 to pay off that $1.2 million in needs by splitting the difference between taking additional monies out of the undesignated fund and the other half of it would come through taxation. So what would that look like? So the total tax levy would then increase by $739,000. That's a 5.19% increase. The mill rate we're estimating would increase 54 cents. That's a 2.3% increase in the mill rate. So for a home valued at $250,000, that would increase taxes by $135 in the coming year. So that and that would reduce our unassigned fund balance to 19%. Our policy says we should have 20%. So that sort of splits the baby, if you will. The thing that is least onerous on the taxpayers is if we just took the full $450,000 out of the undesignated fund. That's in addition to the $350,000 surplus in the undesignated fund that we have. So what that would do is that would increase the total tax levy by $514,000 or 3.61%. We estimate the mill rate would increase by approximately 20 cents. That's less than 1% of the mill rate. And so for a home valued with a taxable value of $250,000, it would increase the taxes by $50 for the year. And that would reduce the unassigned fund balance to approximately 18%. So it defers the incorporation of the capital cost into the tax levy. It's, as I said, it's least onerous on the taxpayers, but what that will eventually result in is larger adjustments to move some of those capital costs into your mill rate in the future. And I know we want to be sensitive to taxpayers, but I also think it's important that we not be short-sighted and not to be too critical of past councils. But when we didn't pave any roads for 6 years, that put us behind the 8 ball today in 2026. So in my mind, option 2 is the most balanced and responsible approach. I think it would be irresponsible of me not to recommend to you the most responsible approach. That's what we're recommending. Obviously, you guys have got a tough decision in front.
What's behind door number 4, Monty?
Well, dating yourself, Jim. So, and obviously, I mean, you know, then you could do something either between option 1 and option 2, or something between option 2 and option 3.
Well, we'd be making you do the math all over again.
That is true.
Yeah, we're not that mean.
But that's why Nick and I get paid the big bucks.
Is that based on per capita, or is that based on what they used last year?
That it is a rolling average that takes into, actually, so what it is whatever percentage of the EMS budget that they are paying this year, we applied that to the annualized cost of EMS. So when you look at the ambulance service, the annualized cost this year is $250,600. So the other towns are paying 63% because they account for 63% of the operating budget. We account for 37% of the operating budget. Ergo, we would pay 37% that 250.
Right, but what I'm asking is that because, is it based on the percentage that of the 37% for Winthrop? Is it based on, because we've had discussions about this before, is it based on the per capita, or is it based on what they have basically spent?
It's a formula based on per capita, 3-year average of call volume, and uncollectibles from each community.
Because I mean, to me, some of these towns are going to have less calls in some years than others. And the only thing I would, you know, and I don't know how many, we've got what, 6,200?
Yes.
How many of these other towns?
So
in the summertime, the flex increases significant with the summer camps and.
But the call volume portion of this is not a 1 year experience. It's a 3-year rolling average. And so it does give you a good indication of how much each community is using the ambulance service. It's not a one-off. And so there have been some communities that we serve that have raised concerns because they're paying a whole lot more than what they were accustomed to. And so I actually presented this formula to a former executive director of Maine EMS. he looked at it and he said, I think this is a really creative and fair and balanced way to charge for ambulance service, much more so than strictly doing per capita.
Well, we could go back to what we were doing and just pay it all, right?
I think we're in a great place with the revenue formula for our ambulance service.
I went through this over the weekend and back through it again and through it again. Option one, obviously, my philosophy going through the budgeting process for the last year and a half or 2 years has been trying to get an accurate representation of what it costs to run the municipal government in town, including the schools. I'll be honest, option one makes my stomach a little bit, turn a little bit, because what we're really looking at is, a taxable valuation for a $250,000 house that's now a $400,000+ house, right? So that annual increase is actually probably a lot, for that individual would be double what we see there, depending on how, we would decrease the mill rate, but that burden probably wouldn't shift a whole lot. So I think that's the most realistic, or will give us the most realistic cost analysis for what it's going to cost to do what we want to do. What that means looking at other communities, and we've seen this over and over again, means next year we have very difficult decisions to make when it comes on the school side. And they're going to have to really dig deep and figure out some ways to not continue to contribute to increasing mill rate, and it's going to be difficult. And you see it all across the state right now, that it's happening to towns. You can just watch Augusta's meetings, and they're going to put a reevaluation into place. So we're going to see it over and over again. And now on top of that, we're looking at fuel prices and economy prices. Fuel prices go up, everything goes up. So we're going to see inflation through this next year. So we have to be very careful about how we move forward. That's my thought, given the options here. Obviously, I think the most sensible thing is to capture the real picture of what it's going to cost. So with that said, Anthony, for the TIF funds that we have available in the mills, other municipalities have been able to shift and use it for like paving. Is that anything we're allowed to do?
Not under the
existing
Yeah.
funds? What can we do with them?
Well, but I don't think, I'd have to check. So when the state approves your TIF, they say you can spend your money on these things, and infrastructure was not part of our TIF. So I think we can do TIF related activities. In the manager's report, I was going to suggest something that we can spend some TIF funds on, but even that is only $230,000, and it's
187. But what I was thinking in my mind, at least, is if we used some of the TIF funds to offset some costs in areas, we would be able to, hopefully with our new TIF district moving forward, be able to replenish that instead of, so we're not just using a one-time amount of money, that if we do a good job making a future TIF district, those funds would be available to us again, in theory.
They will be, but it's going to be like, it's not going to be next year.
So what about like 100,000?
First of all, we would have to check with the attorney to make sure that we could legally do that. I'm not certain that that would be the case. And second of all, because we will want some help in establishing a TIF district, I think we should reserve some of those funds for that particular purpose.
But I mean, we wouldn't need 287,000.
Is that $10,000 maybe?
Well, no. I mean,
I know you're talking about like a
so
console,
okay. So I'm going to spoiler. Here's a
I just want to see.
here's a spoiler alert. So what I was going to talk about during the town manager report is we got a quote from Reagan La Rochelle, who was here a few weeks ago, just about what it would take in order to update our downtown plan, because with everything that's on Dawn's plate, she's not going to be able to do that as well. And so the initial cost that Reagan quoted to us was $23,500. And so now I'm out getting other quotes under our purchasing policy, which is required. So even once we do that, we may want to hire like some sort of consultant to help us with the establishment of the TIF district itself. So this right now we're just talking about updating the downtown plan, which is a key component of your application to the state for forming a downtown TIF district. So I would just be a little cautious about spending too deeply with that, even if it is legal. I understand what you're saying, Aaron. And again, Nick and I have talked about this ad nauseum, that we want to try to keep next year as flat as we possibly can until people get accustomed to their new normal with their values. And so for instance, if we did pursue option 2, you wouldn't see me up here next year saying, okay, we raised and appropriated an extra $225,000 in order to help address capital needs. Let's do $400,000 this year. No, we would stay at $225,000 for at least another year until people get accustomed to the new normal. Well, it's as you said. I think it's a fair point to say that a home that has a taxable value of $250 right now is going to be much more than that after the revaluation, or is likely to be more than that after the revaluation. And so that $222 maybe then becomes $400.
These numbers that we're talking about that you presented, that's assuming that we do everything on the list that you have set aside here for,
The 7 priorities?
or just everything you have listed here. Oh, it's not, it's just the 7 priorities.
Yes. Yes. So the 1.2 million is just these bulleted items on the memo, Roy.
Well,
No. But to your point, we anticipate having a good budget surplus. We would come back to you and say, hey, let's put a good portion of that into the unassigned fund balance. Then we'd come back and look at this stuff and say, okay, how much of the rest of the $2.3 million might we be able to put into capital reserves in order to address needs?
Which is our debt right now? Any bonds that we have outstanding, and how much is the savings? Because as you go, there's going to be savings in that. And yes, my other question is, do we have an ability to buy some of these?
So it's like our yearly cost to debt. So it's around, it has, last year was like 300 and something. This year it's 230 something total.
Yep.
It'll drop a little bit next year, then it'll drop a lot the year after. It'll drop down to like 100 and something thousand.
126 and 2029.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Yes, it just depends on the council's appetite for financing a project.
I think.
One,
We have 2.
we have 2, yeah. 2. One for the dam, one was a refinance back in 2020.
It's small.
The dam is small. That's only
Dam is a smaller one. The other note doesn't, we don't pay that off until 2041.
And it looked like back before 2020, you guys had a bunch of debt service and you reconciled that into that big refinance one in 2020. Yeah, you could.
So I have a citizen asking that we all please speak into our mics.
Sorry, I said, well, we can maybe potentially consider a bond for some of the, particularly the paving and some of those projects, correct?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what the appetite of you guys have.
So
we've bonded before, a couple bonds, and I don't have a problem.
Yeah. So as for paving, you wouldn't want to do a bond for $500,000. If you're going to do a paving bond, you'd want to go big and, yeah, well, way more than $1 million. You'd probably want to go for like 5 million in order to address all the streets and bring them up to a baseline standard. And so Kevin is still working on the RSMS analysis of our pavement so that we can at some future point come to you and say, if you want to do that, here's what the cost is going to be. Our contractor has previously said that he thought that somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 million would get all of our streets up to a baseline standard.
How much would that be versus what we're paying?
If we got a new bond, I couldn't tell you exactly.
Yeah, well, it would depend upon what
Right,
sort of.
interest rates.
Yeah, it would depend upon what sort of interest rates you would get, but if we were to do something like that, we would go to the municipal bond bank and, because they're going to have the best rates.
Well, we've done bonds before for.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
high as 5.
The 2020 one was 4.5. It was a refinance. You guys took a bunch of debt and refinanced. That's what it looks like, appears
I
to
don't
me.
know, I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, I think it's good discussion. Anthony, the list you gave us back here on the back of that sheet, what is that representing? Just everything, all the wish lists?
That's the request for this current fiscal, or for, excuse me, FY '27.
We're not tackling that.
We can talk about that. The reason the directors are here to.
That's, I want to make sure I
is to answer any questions that you guys might have about that.
And I have a couple of.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Okay.
My first one's just going to be as far as the comprehensive planning committee. So when I first came on the council, I was most influenced by the comprehensive plan. And I do understand that the sidewalks were very imperative for residents across our community, and it has been for several years at this point. I do not see those on this list, but I do see a new town garage for $250,000 just in the first year, and then a salt shed for $150,000. And I do understand that the salt shed needs it. But at the same time, when we're looking at priorities, have we reached out to our comprehensive planning implementation committee and gotten any of their insight as far as what our long-term vision looks like for the town?
Mm-hmm. So I'll just say this. Your priorities are our priorities. And so, if you think that we need to include in this some monies for sidewalks, then that's what we do.
That would be my recommendation.
Got a couple specific questions. What's that? Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I had a couple specific questions about some of the stuff on the Public Works and Transfer Station. Can we get some info on the loader and the backhoe? I see the loader made it back on here this year. What are we looking at for, are we looking to replace it this year? Are we looking to set some money aside to replace it down the road?
Yeah, no, we're looking to start setting money aside to replace it down the road.
Is it failing? Is it?
No, mechanically, we're keeping it running, but it's starting to rot away on us.
And how about the backhoe at the transfer station?
The backhoe at the transfer station, as you've seen, we use that periodically with Public Works also, when we need to supplement equipment. That machine is in rough shape. That's going to be the first piece that's going to have to be replaced at the transfer station.
Not repairable, not.
At this point, again, it's in the same category that I would put the loader in. Mechanically, we're keeping them running. We change parts, we put water pumps, we do stuff that we need to do.
The normal stuff.
Yep, the normal stuff. But again, with the number of hours and the amount of use it gets, I think we need to start setting money aside so that I'm not standing in front of you in 3 years saying, give me $170,000 for a new loader.
And the other question I had is the salt shed in garage, where are the numbers for those coming from?
Those were just things that I pulled out, having known, like Green did one recently. And again, the 250 that would be a start. You'd have to do engineering. You'd have to do all kinds of stuff. But once we figured out what we're going to build and where we're going to build it, then the money could be shrank down to what's it going to cost and how long is it going to take to get there, right? Because the building that we're in right now is not housing us. So you're going to have to do something with, and it's up to you guys. You make that decision. But at some point, you're going to have to spend some money. I use that as a baseline that if we start looking at this now, how long is it going to take us to get to where we need to be, right? Are we talking about $1 million building? Are we talking about a $2 or $3 million building because we're incorporating other entities in with it?
Yes. So Roy, if I may, a lot of this, as Kevin just mentioned, is about not doing something in the immediate future. It's setting ourselves up for being able to do something, down the road. And with the garage and the salt shed, one of the first things that you may have to consider is purchasing a piece of property. So if we save up $500,000, then maybe that gets us to where we need to be, at least to secure a piece of property.
I had some similar questions. I guess that's been answered for the public work stuff. One thing I think it'd probably go to Nick. You had gas pumps on here. I don't know if that's supposed to be in the negative because it's 20,100 on our sheet. It's not showing the negative.
Yeah, that is the negative number.
Okay. Yeah. So I figured it's that much. The other portion, I was looking down through at some of these things on our hit list. Points out, I see the ambulance, the station repair for 40 grand. Seems like we just put a lot of money into that. I mean, I really think I would balk at putting 40K away for that building where I know we've done a lot of work over it and just had a lot of repairs done to it. Same with the fire station. It was 25K for that. That's a fairly new building.
Let me explain.
Sure.
So that's not to put $40,000 of work into the building. It's
No, I understand because it seems like you were just talking about the town garage, setting aside to replace it.
Yeah. So if we had to build a new ambulance station,
Yeah.
what would the cost be and how many years would it take us to get to that cost? And so I think we estimated the lifespan of that building. Does Chief Moretto or Nick, do you recall, was it 50 years? 50 years. So if we set aside $40,000 for 50 years, we'll have the monies that we need in order to.
Well, maybe we won't need to replace it. We've had a library here for how many years?
Well, maybe
that building's been here for a long time, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe
the school system since
maybe not, but the point of this exercise was starting to set.
Again, yeah, I get your point. That's why I'm just pointing it out myself, is I don't know if that amount of money to set aside this time is appropriate. So,
well,
based on the age and the repairs that have been done to the building.
Well, and maybe so, but again, we were looking at replacement costs. We annualized the cost.
I understand what we've done, yeah.
But then the important thing is then we sent that cost to Wayne and Reedfield and Manchester and Monmouth and said, this is going to be.
I'm glad you came up with a number. I'm just looking it over in my mind. I mean, it'd be like me, I say I'm going to replace my house in 20 years and it's going to cost X cost. So I'm going to put X dollars away because the building's no good anymore. You see where I'm going with this, right? It has to be a sane number. It can't be you're going to replace the building in 10 years and you have $400,000 to do so.
I guess I
understand. But I understand what you're going for, but I'm just telling you, I'm not comfortable with that number. The other portion I saw in here is the stretchers. When we're looking at that, didn't we just buy a stretcher?
We did.
So you had a replacement cost for 4 of them here. So, and I know we talked about one time, and I appreciate Chief being here, is we talked about going down to three trucks at one time, one of the discussions when we were replacing one of them. Didn't we have that discussion at one time, folks?
Yeah, we did.
So I know you came on board. So Chief, I know you're kind of got a different plan too. You may be about keeping the 4 trucks. Now we got 2 fairly new trucks when I look at the years of them. And I'm the kind of guy, as anybody who knows, and out here, I'm more comfortable running things until it doesn't have any worth anymore. And then go lease something out for a short period of time if we had to, and then look about purchasing something. But I do appreciate putting it some away because I like to have something to put down. But I just see the amount for $36,000 for 4 new stretchers when we just purchased one this past year. seems like an awful lot to put away for.
Wait a second. So Chief, maybe explain what the lifespan of a stretcher is.
Sure.
So in discussing that with them, they're looking at right around, and Stryker, the company, they're looking at right around 8 years on those.
That's good to know.
And again, that depends on the business. If you work in an extremely busy service and
how many ups and downs
using them more times than probably us, they'll probably be quicker than that. But that seems to be, according to Stryker, the average on that.
Yep.
And then they're ranging anywhere from, I mean, we got a pretty good deal on the last one we just had purchased from Medic 3, but the one that was purchased with Medic 1 is a lot newer model and everything. And that was $75,000 just for one stretcher system. So now you add that times 4.
No, I appreciate that. That's why I'm happy to have you here to kind of help answer that. Andy, you had something?
Yeah, so I think, and I'm sure Jim will correct me if I'm wrong, that we're more or less thinking along the same lines. We're planning on replacing a building that into the foreseeable future won't need to be replaced. Okay, my own home was built in 1871 and it's still standing there and it's still in good shape and it's been taken care of. You know, we're looking at dumping money every year in case we have to replace a building 40 or 50 years from now. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I think that appropriate maintenance and expansion as needed will do what we need to do.
Fair enough, but even if we don't replace it, we're still going to have to do maintenance upkeep.
Yeah, that's my point. I think we just want to maintain the stuff, some of the stuff we have, and what's the cost? Because those aren't the real true number that we should be putting in. Maybe should be half on that, on some of those numbers.
New roofs, parking lots.
Yeah, roofs go there 25 years, metal roofs go longer. I mean, go probably 40.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
How does this reflect what will go out to the other communities?
Well,
as far as their share.
They've already budgeted for this because they've got they're in the same process, in the same timeline that we are as far as budgeting this. So
I mean, how does that impact the total, right? Because then this is just a proportion, if 36, right?
37%.
7%. And so that means the other towns would be contributing to each of these lines as well?
That's correct.
Would that be so we just take so 40,000 is the 37% number?
Nope, that's the total number. So we'd be
Not paying all 40, we're not raising all 40,000.
we're whatever 37% of that is.
To see.
Yeah.
Well, okay, and that's
what we need to know.
okay, but
We're going to be looking to raise and take out of our funds. The other towns are going to put in. We probably need to see both sides of that. Issues.
For the ambulance, that's why it's built in those 3 options. You'll see a line that says 100,000 for the ambulance. That's what that covers. Our portion of the of that total.
In the recommended, if in the
Right.
1.2, like
You'll see 100 grand for the ambulance,
I did it.
which that covers all those totaled up times point.
Oh,
three,
it's
I think,
helpful. So take the 100,000 minus the 100 number.
Yeah.
Is our share, right? Is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that's probably what we need to be thinking about when we're, talking about those numbers. That.
And answer all of my questions. Right. Go ahead, Linda. I'll just.
well, wait a second. So now we're off the 7 priorities, which we can talk about.
Sure.
But eventually we have to replace furniture at the town office as well. And so again, that's not purchasing $5,000 worth of furniture next year. It's building a kitty so that we can do that eventually.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to me.
But this exercise is based on what you were directed to do, correct? As in, we didn't want to finance a ton of stuff. So you were told to make this.
Yeah, so no, again, I'm a believer in putting some money away for each thing so we pay less on bonding anything or paying on interest on anything like that. It's just the amounts that are being requested for me seem large. I mean, I think I've only been on the council a very short time. Maybe it'll be shorter than I imagined, but after some of these talks, but I look at it, none of this was done prior to when I was first on, when you weren't here. And I think it got brought up. I think Linda might have brought it up when we put some capital reserve stuff away. And learning about that, I'm in favor of it. It's just the amounts that I'm looking at right now for me personally, and I can't speak for the whole council, but I'm just weighing in on my thoughts. And, I appreciate you presenting that to me, but I still think there might be some, the three options you gave us, there still might be another option here.
We're all ears.
Yeah.
So talk to us again, I guess. Did you say it? Explain before. So everything that you've put in as a capital, the CIP, you've taken some value that either full replacement in time and you've just divided it and this is where you're at.
Yes. Yeah, like of these things, the things that we're going to actually acquire this year of the 7 paving, we'll get that done.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll get a new police cruiser, fully equipped. Those are the only 2 acquisitions that we would actually have out of this list. Everything else is more future based, but it's things that are,
It's like
again,
$100K for the police, fire, EMS radio system, furniture, recorders. You get that $100K on there. So it's kind of slide that out to the side, but
and that's just what we have over the last 2 years, I believe. We've dedicated it. It used to be like 91,000. And I was like, why aren't we doing 91,000? Let's just do 100.
no, I don't disagree. I don't remember what's in the kitty today. Anything?
Well, we've got
490. Thank you. I got it here somewhere. I just got to dig for it. Oh, right here. Go ahead, Linda.
My overall
You want-
question is, do you think that we ought to have, we're going to have another meeting, but we probably want to have another meeting scheduled on the books in case we have to go through some of this stuff more? That's just my feeling. I know you've got one more, but do you think that'll be?
I'm not unopposed to that.
Decision.
I'm not unopposed to having another meeting, and I know it's a lot to unpack.
But I'm just saying is in doing all of this and we're discussing all of it, we might want to consider.
I'm
Get another
hearing,
meeting.
I'm hearing you, and I'm not unopposed to it. So, Andy, do you have something to say?
No, let it go.
Okay. No,
I'm turning it out.
I do have
go
one.
ahead, Roy.
So I'm looking at
I knew Roy would speak for me.
a few of these things here, and one of the things that stands out is it? Hold on, I'm trying to get back there. I just had it. Okay, what do you have for? I'd like to see the numbers and schedule that you have on some of this stuff. One thing that I was looking at is fire station building. That. I would expect that building to be good for the years. The fire station building. Why are what's that? Yeah, 100. But I would like to see where some of these numbers come from. Where did we, like, how many years did you interpolate that out? And what did you have for a cost when you did that?
So first of all, this isn't science. This is art. So, because we don't know
You don't know what the cost is going to be. You don't.
Can I finish?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
No, you haven't heard me out.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so this is not exact science because you're right. We don't know exactly how long that building is going to last. We don't know what the future cost of either rebuilding or replacing or repairing that building is going to be. These are our best guess estimates on this so that we are prepared in the future for when, we need to make some sort of major repair to the ambulance station, to the fire station. It's like Kevin just said. What we're trying to avoid is at some future point, we come to you and say, hey, we need $200,000 for the fire station because we've got to repair the HVAC system. So it's simply, it's not trying to bleed the taxpayers at all. It's just trying to put us in a position where we don't have to finance either major repairs or acquisitions. That's it.
I understand where you're going with that. I'd just like to see what did we use for numbers and length of life?
But Roy, how are we possibly going to know exactly what the cost is and when it is?
Just asking, how did we come? I'm not just talking that one line.
I think he's trying to be fair with this, Anthony, and I don't want you to get upset with our questions because we unpack this at home ourselves. We don't get to have a chance to talk about it as a group collectively because he may be thinking something else. But I think part of it is what number do we put on it and what number do we put on it for the taxpayers? Because I said it here publicly, and I'll say it to anybody that came up and talked to me. I think we should putting some dollars away. It's the amount that we're putting away right now because you can't put a number on what the length of that building is going to last or what the repairs are going to be, and there's always going to be an unknown because we could replace a brand new ambulance or brand new cruiser tomorrow that may just get into a wreck and we're upside down on it and we're going to have to do it. Those are unknowns. If we can soften it a little bit, I get that. And I think that's what I think that's probably what you're saying a little bit.
But to my point earlier, I mean, I wish this were an exact science, but it's not, it's art. And so ultimately you seven get to make the decision. So if you say that $25,000 is too much for the fire station, we're more comfortable with, $5,000 or whatever the number is. That's what the number is.
Right.
Some of these things too, I would just.
Hold on. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, I have a couple concerns, and I'm probably running parallel with Roy. I don't want to repeat things, but that fire station is not that old, and we did something seriously wrong if we need, at this point in time, if we have to start budgeting $25,000 a year for future needs.
I just said, you tell us what number you want.
Well, I'm telling you, okay? And then the other concern I have is we start setting this money aside in contingent funds. And at some point, many of us may not be here. And some other counselors might say, wow, look at all this money. Let's go spend it somewhere else. Okay, we've had that happen before. We had it happen with the roads. Okay, money was taken that should have been dedicated to roads, spent elsewhere, and now we're in a bind. I don't think a building of that age and condition and built in the way it was doesn't need $25,000 a year contingency fund. They're just not even close. 5 would be good.
Linda.
So the question is, of this in 27, of the $1.05 million, the question becomes is, what do we want to do here?
Right. That's where I'm at
That's
with it.
I mean, so when I look at some of
This year.
the spreader, I'd like the information that you suggested that we need to have for the spreader. What are they basing it on?
What is the spread
But
of?
listen, so again, these are the things that we're trying to figure out how many tax dollars to raise this year.
Right. That's why I'm
The fund. But now we're off the list because those are things that we would seek to do with surplus monies after the end of this fiscal year.
Some of that is on there.
These are the 7 things.
Yeah. So all these
These are the
lists.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4,
No,
5.
no,
I know, but some of this is on there, paving.
yes.
Yes.
So some of that stuff is.
Correct.
I just wish they were just the 7 little dwarfs.
The question becomes is, out of this list and this list, what do we want to do?
Correct. Zach, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's what I think, right? We have these 7 here. We have all these items. Anthony and Nick have kind of, and the managers have all kind of identified these, but we don't have to assume any of these costs that are in this last column here, right? All we have to do is do the math out here, and you could make the argument that you could cut from the ambulance because we're paying a percentage there. So if you don't want to put $40K to a building, right, you lose 13, right? That's 37% of that cost to what we're
Yeah,
going to have to
understood.
appropriate, right, to this. So right now, I think, we should be talking about the 3 versions here, right? What do we want to do? How much do we want to put
Well,
on
I'm
the
trying
town.
to,
Yeah.
some of those 7 things that are labeled in that thing. So I've got radio upgrade on this reserve balance account. I've got on 510, radio upgrade, $414,062.93. And then we're getting 1.2 from the grant money that's coming in, correct? What was that RFP to replace that, to do that?
Well, so we don't know yet because the engineer is working on the specs, and so we haven't put the project out for bid. Our best guess when we submitted the grant application to the federal government was that it would cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.2 million. But that was 3 years ago now, something close to that, because the federal government, dragged their feet and.
How many bids did we get last time?
We haven't bid it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, we have not.
Yeah, no, we have not bid that. So,
Oh, but they're getting this information ahead of a bidding process. That's not
what are you talking about?
money that we're
Dollar
putting
values.
aside, the dollar value. Yeah. Shouldn't be,
I'm not following you.
we shouldn't be estimating a cost ahead of any bidding process.
We're not estimating the cost. We're just trying to put some money aside so that we don't have to finance as much in the
I
long
don't
run.
want to put,
For all of it, we know that.
What? No, no, we're getting the $1.1 million. And that was partly contingent on our ability to fund the balance of the project.
But it's just materials, right, for that? Right? And we have to pay the labor. Is that what it was, or was it?
Yeah, so the grant pays for the hardware. We've got to pay for the construction.
Exactly. So we're labor.
Can I,
Question on that radio upgrade, is that the 414, is that our portion or is that, we're gonna?
Well, we don't know what that is yet because we don't have.
Right,
what-
right,
what-
but I mean,
we don't,
is it,
we,
there's gonna be a piece of this that other communities are gonna.
yes, but we don't know what that is. We won't know until we have the bids.
do we have enough room in the current building to make that upgrade? And do we want to invest that kind of money and equipment in that old shack?
We're moving forward with the project. We've got the $1.1 million that the parts are no longer available for what we've got. We've got to move forward with it. Chief?
Okay, so I agree with you. It's an old shack. If we're going to, we already have the room for 3 consoles by moving from our present dispatch into the old patrol room. We're going to increase that from 1.5 consoles to 3 consoles, with another half console that's going to remain in the old dispatch area because that's where Bill's office is going to move to. And he's going to remain as the supervisor for dispatch. So he'll have that ability to operate another dispatch console from in there. I think we've kind of moved into phases on how we're going to implement the construction. First, it's going to be the tower, new radio equipment, new building up there, new fence around it, keeping the old tower in place until they're ready to do the cutover into the new dispatch center. So it's going to be the tower, and they estimated that about $275,000 for the tower.
We're definitely going to be regional dispatch.
We are,
a regional dispatch. We're not a PSAP.
We're going to do that?
that's
That's not part of this
It's not that
discussion.
simple.
that's not part of this communications upgrade.
right now.
If we become a PSAP in the future down the road, then we're going to have to look at other buildings to house that because we do not have the room for that down there.
Will our communication,
Where my question, Paul? Thank you very much.
real quick, will that communications upgrade, and this, I know this doesn't relate to the CIP, will that communications upgrade equipment withstand us becoming a PSAP?
Yes,
Well, that will accommodate us
Yes.
becoming a PSAP.
yes.
Jim, can I just piggyback on something
please
that
go right
Zach
ahead.
said a little earlier? So we talked about, well, maybe we don't do 40,000 for the ambulance station, fine. But I wouldn't change the total amount that we're trying to raise for the ambulance service because all the other towns have already written their warrant articles with those amounts. So what we would do is, instead of saying like 40,000 to the station, we'll say 10,000 to the station, and then we'll put the other $30,000 towards other capital needs that are on the FY 27 list for the ambulance service.
Yeah, so we're losing money if we nickel and dime that.
No, I don't, I guess when I just see,
No, I just
when
want
I
to
see a line item, it comes and pops in my mind. I don't think that's a bad idea. And for that department specifically, where it's a shared services all the way out there, clearly that makes the most sense. And if we can put, 10 into the building and then just put, the extra 30 or 10 into 3 more other trucks and up those, I think you have 36,000 here to kick it to 46.
I just want to make sure everyone was on the same page because
it's a good
because
point.
for that one in particular, it doesn't, as Zach just said, it doesn't make sense to lower the total amount. We should just redistribute the amount.
No, I think it's a fair point.
I do. When was the last estimate we had for the tower, and was it labor and materials, or was it just a kind of a swag of a number?
No, that was a very accurate figure that we got from Huzzy Communications. And we got that this past fall.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, because we do that at my work. I could get a ballpark number if we wanted to get something closer, but if it last fall, then I think, sounds like
last fall is going to be pretty darn close to where we're going to be at. So I'm happy we got the grant money and everything else, and happy we're moving forward with it. So not trying to stall the project, just trying to understand this at all. So Anthony, I'm just thinking here, because we're just having this discussion. You're not looking for anything else on this, and I think it's been a good discussion. So, are you looking for anything else right now, or anybody else? Well, I know he does, but again, he just said he didn't need to have a decision, so he doesn't get to know the option right now.
I guess the direction that we need while you guys continue to mull this over is, if you want to see more options, what would that look like? Like, do you want to see something that splits the difference between 1 and 2, or between 2 and 3?
You want direction?
Is this a possibility for an option? Is fund it out of the undesignated funds, which would be option 3,
Right.
and then we can use the surplus to bring that back up to the 20% that we have set a policy.
Yes, you could definitely do that. The only thing I would warn about is like trying to move some of those costs into the mill rate that, you're just going to delay that. But by not just 1 year, by at least 2 years. Because again, we want to try to keep things as flat as we possibly can next year as we.
And I think that's important, because I think it scared the heck out of me seeing that news article of what happened in Lewiston. And, and I think I've already talked to you. I may have talked to a few other people. Danny stepping up kind of maybe want to talk about it. Any extra money I get, I'd like to help put towards the fire truck, because I think that's the more I can put away for that, eat that elephant. I'd rather take a giant bite of that elephant and reduce that. So when it does come delivery, we don't have a lot left to pay on it. So.
So if I could just really quick, not to throw more wrenches into this already bucket of wrenches, but just be aware that no matter what you throw away and take in surplus and put towards the truck, when that truck arrives, you're not going to have the truck paid for. We are going to have to borrow money to finish that. So
Understood.
My thought is, even if it's a small amount, $50,000, anything that you take out of tax, you raise tax dollars for, that would then roll into that payment. So rather than have to, if you put $50,000 a year out of the tax dollars, out of the tax rolls, when it comes time to make that payment, that's $50,000 less you're going to have to raise that year.
Yeah, but it's perpetual. And when every time we raise the tax rate, it's perpetual. Then it goes up the next year. Then it goes up the next year. And then it's compounding, Danny. So if I could take the money now and put it towards that fire truck, and if I only have to borrow $50K at that time, then I only have to borrow $50K, and that's less interest I'm paying on that truck.
I totally get that. But at the same respect, if you took some of that money out of the tax dollar, that would roll right into your payment. So instead of 4 years from now having a $200,000 a month, a $200,000 a year payment, if you took and added took $50,000 against the tax rolls, that would be In 4 years from now, you'd only have to come up with 150,000 because you could roll that 50 annually and then turn that right into your payments. Just a suggestion.
Sure.
And I get you want to put more than that into surplus, but you might also want to think about developing some money there that would eventually be the payment as well. You could kill two birds with one stone there, but just a thought.
With the 250 that we're doing now.
Right.
All that does is go towards a down payment. So it's like buying a car.
Right, but I mean, that's in our.
4.5 years.
That is in the tax. So
Right.
if
Already there.
that, at the end
It
of the year, it's not
depends.
going to be absorbed into,
It depends whether it's in the tax.
It's
Because
not in the tax.
you guys haven't made that decision yet. So that could come out of the
we didn't
seven,
put 250 last year? No.
no.
That was our discussion. Do it moving
It's all
forward.
been done with surplus money, not
Gotcha.
with tax.
Gotcha.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And,
Yeah, no, you're right.
and to get back to Roy's point, the only thing that I would caution there is that at some point, we've got to start transitioning some of these costs into the mill rate and eventually.
Haven't we over the years? I mean, look at our, for the last 10 years, what is our mill rate?
So Jim, this past year, no. We had,
No,
well, wait a
last
second.
10 years.
No,
We were
I'm
at
just talking,
13, 14.
I'm just talking about this past year, we were able to keep the mill rate flat because we spent $1.6 million out of surplus to address capital needs.
Right.
We can't count on doing that year after year after year.
Agreed.
And so right now, you're actually in an enviable position to make some of that migration into your mill rate simply because you've got a 1.52% increase in your operating expenses, which is being exceeded by another $400,000 in new revenue.
But that revenue coming in, is that can still, if we're keep projecting that revenue to keep increasing and we keep our costs down, then we'd lower that mill rate, then we can have that as a surplus. And it's almost,
But we're not going to see the same bump next year. And the reason for that is we've got the dispatch, for instance, formula, right where it is. We've got the ambulance funding formula, right? where
that
it's a-
wasn't
it's
the
at a-
only place that bumped. I mean, we
It is.
codes and everyone up.
It is, but those things grow sort of more incrementally
Mhm.
year over year. Whereas we've seen big increases in dispatch and ambulance just as a result of both the new funding formula and
And
incorporating.
that'll
the-
be a
the capital
continued
cost.
shared expense though. So it's going to be, our expense is going to go down and that's going to always be a continued increase on us because it's going to be keep helping that budget line.
I wouldn't say our costs are going to keep going down.
No. Well, what we have to pay for those, for the dispatch and the ambulance, we're no longer going to be paying where we were 2 years ago or last year. Now you have a new formula. So that number's going to be flattened like where it is now.
No,
those
it'll-
monies are gonna still keep
it'll
coming in.
increase year over year because just think about
It's
it.
going to increase year over year, but it's going to be at a much less percentage.
Thank you. I guess that's what I'm trying to get
Yeah.
at. It's not going to be what it was last year or the year before.
Yeah.
It's come down and it's going to stay in that vicinity because we're no longer holding the lion's share of that.
Let me, so now I'm going to get philosophical on you. So do you philosophically agree that ideally, if we're going to do $500,000 in paving every year, we should probably have a super stable funding source for that?
I don't disagree. That's just
Okay.
one of the things that for me, there's certain things on our list of things that I know are key components that we have to do, right?
Mhm.
There are they're non-negotiable really. You know, they are negotiable, but that paving we just need to do it. And from what I've learned being here, sitting at this table, that's something that's one of part of our infrastructures. And, you know, I'm looking at that piece of it. We need to do it, right?
Jim, I would call that, the paving budget is sacrosanct. We just have to do that
So
every year.
I would agree on that, but on every other line item that we're discussing are negotiable.
Yeah. Well, but I will say, I think, and Dan had brought this up during our, go ahead. I'm going to cede the floor to the gentleman.
Yeah,
from-
I'm just saying, this is a game that we're playing, right? We're trying to catch up and we're trying to make sure that when we do get this reval, that we're not so crazy overspending that we slam everyone, right? So this is a walking game. So like to Dan's point, I agree with what he's saying. I just want to get the money in there first, right? I'd like to see the next 2 years, let's get to 500 and then we can talk about, maybe we can see what the interest rates are and talk about getting that
But
money
once you
in
start
there.
doing that slow walk, you're already
But we have to,
there.
we have to find the intersecting point here
Correct.
at some
So
point.
maybe but maybe the 100K is too much.
Yeah.
Maybe 50.
No, I agree. And then I got one more thing here. The only thing Anthony and Nick, I like what you guys have proposed here. I'm in favor of it. I mean, we got to obviously look at it. I don't have my mind made up yet, but there's a lot of options here. The only thing I was interested in, because you asked the question, was the TIF thing that Aaron brought up and what that kind of, how much could we do something with it? And what are the risks of that if we do something with it? That's the only thing I was interested in. And then I think we got to come back to the table here and make a decision on what these options are.
Thanks, Shannon.
I was just going to ask regarding the TIF, with that expiring this year, are we accounting for that revenue?
Yeah.
We're accounting for the loss of the revenue.
What?
So that was sheltered. And so we were getting half of what that sheltered amount was. That's no longer sheltered. I mean, we are going to see an increase whenever.
Significant increase.
No, it won't be significant because because we're going to be, so the value of that property is $4 million.
Right.
The total value of the town is in excess of $300 million.
Yeah, what's that got to do with it?
Yeah, but
Well, $304 million of value is not going to raise that much more tax revenue than 300 million.
Right, but I guess the point was the TIF expires and they pay the full tax on $4 million.
So they've been paying the full tax. They've just been getting
We just,
half
now
of it
we don't
back.
have to give it back anymore.
Correct.
Right.
It would be, if we had the appraisal first and then expired, it'd be a different story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Be 930.
What's that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but so of $4 million with what would we be looking at raising out of tax value from that property? From $4 million.
Are you asking me to do a
question? Nick,
Are you-
we got a question for you.
Round numbers.
Are
$20
you asking me
on
to do a
1,000.
calculation of?
No, Nick, can you help me, please? So if the mill is going to be now evaluated at $4 million,
It has been evaluated at $4 million. It's not new. It's not new value.
okay, so
We get
92.
It's not new
So
value.
We got 9.3.
It's gonna be raising the same amount of tax dollars as it ever has. Just half of that won't be going to somebody else.
We'll get it here.
We'll get it here, but it's not in a significant amount of, it's not as significant as I think you guys think it is.
It's enough to buy a police cruiser. Actually,
It might be for that. Yeah.
I think he's being just joking.
no, we could totally pay two.
Can,
I think,
Oh, right.
No, the reserve account, what are you talking about?
And I can let you get it.
Was
No, we are offsetting some of our cost with TIF dollars, some of our operating costs. A portion of Dawn's salary, for instance,
Right.
is offset by TIF funds.
I think that's what, yeah, but I learned that last time. So are you good, Zach? Andy, you want to go?
I really don't want Anthony to fall off his chair, but Nick and Anthony, I mean, what we've been going through here tonight is an awful lot of stuff to juggle around in your head.
Yes.
You guys are really well prepared and very responsive with answering all of our questions. And I for one, appreciate it.
So thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. So my question for you seven is,
Yes.
what do you want from us at the next meeting? I'm writing it down. Sidewalks and maybe some more clarity on what, if anything, more that we can do with TIF dollars.
I think that's good clarity. Yep.
a couple. So, one, 2 and 3.
I'm just gonna, I guess I don't have a great suggestion. I'm just nervous and, and I guess made me think, and after seeing that news article, what happened to Lewiston and what potentially could happen to the people here in town. it makes me even think a lot about what we're doing in my vote of doing a reevaluation. And, you know, I'm all for it, but then it gets me really, the juices flowing. I'm thinking, do we really want to go down this road? Because it's going to hurt some families. And it may hurt families that I didn't even consider that it may do that to. So I realize we can control it, and hopefully we can control that mill rate a little bit, but just living in this town and knowing the mill rate what it was 10 points less, you know, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Any amount that we increase, I was trying to be methodical about it and how we slow step it, if you guys want to use that term.
So again, I'm going to encourage you guys, don't focus on the mill rate. Focus on the tax levy.
I get that point.
And the tax levy is totally within control of the 7 people sitting at this table.
Go ahead, Linda.
I don't know the answer to that
I
question.
think you could push it a year. I know that. I think we can.
They're pushing it 2 years down.
Oh, they are. So maybe you
Oh, I
can.
think they're pushing it 2
Okay.
years.
I thought you could at least do a year.
Is the reval, is it necessarily something I don't think, I don't know, but I don't think there's anything else. After you did it, you have it there, and you can apportion, you don't have to accept 100% of it. You a smaller percentage, like a 70 or 80%.
I'm gonna have to do some research.
Or you just go back to normal and raise the mill.
So,
I get
so our assessor's here every Wednesday, so we'll ask him.
That'd be helpful.
We'll ask him. But also, Jim, one of the reasons why mill rate has increased so much is because the values are artificially low.
65%.
No, I get that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people are only going to realize, well, I think it's maybe less than 65%.
No, it's not. It is.
Of their homestead exemption.
Yeah, no, I looked it up just when I saw that article, and I looked up my own and just kind of see where it landed
So
on.
last year, I think we were at like 67%.
And I think we're still 65. Yeah.
You know what, to be fair on all of that property stuff, tax stuff, Maine has gone up a lot quicker than other places around the country. I am not convinced that, you know, we have in the state of Maine been unfortunate because we've had second homeowners coming in and buying up these properties and driving up the valuations. As far as I'm concerned, I am not convinced. You know, it is a different story with valuations, how we've looked at property taxes in the past. But to be quite honest, we may have to look at something different in the future because I can't see how these property tax values are going to continue at the rate they are in the state of Maine, and everybody here is going to be able to afford to live here. They're not. So, you know, we may have to in the future, and that's not a discussion for tonight, but we may have to in the future look at something different in the state because I can't believe when I look at Connecticut and I look at some of these other states around there, they are not realizing what we're realizing. And we are at the mercy of these people that are coming in. And that's not fair to the people here. It's not.
So sidewalks.
I think that,
I'm serious. I'm going to ask a serious question here. Do you want that, Shannon, as part of like the 7 priorities or just worked somewhere into this calculation?
Bill 23.
yeah, first of all, I'm remiss in not, supporting Shannon in the sidewalk thing. I've caught a lot of grief over that and you can't argue with it. Okay. So sidewalks should be on a priority list. The second thing is, you know, we're looking at this, it's like a small picture view. That middle option, 250,000 would be $223 a year. Okay, because mill rate's only going to go up two something percent. Okay, but what you have to realize is that when we get the reevaluation, I probably would anticipate that, say, my property is going to increase by 50%. Okay, so it's not $223 a year. Okay, it's 50% of probably $8,000 a year, which puts it at $12,000 all in one shot. And that's going to happen to an awful lot of people in town. So, people that bought 180, 150, $200,000 homes 5 years ago, and now they find out that their homes are worth $450,000, and they're going to pay twice the taxes.
Well, we're
And you
not
need to think about
necessarily.
that in a bigger picture. Don't think about it's only $250 a year. You're thinking about, increasing someone's taxes by,
I think, yeah,
I definitely agree with that, but what the exercise that we've been going through in theory we don't need to raise that amount of money. We will be, if we kept everything as is after the evaluation, we would have way over what we were asking for. So, but in order to reset the mill rate at what we need to continue to operate without, trying to go too high or too low, because both of those would have costs, we need to know. So then out of these options, what would you be looking year over year to be close to? And when you come to us next year, where do you think we would be close to for an option?
Well, like I said, if you were to adopt option 2, we wouldn't seek, and you were to say, okay, we're going to dedicate $225,000 of new taxation to capital cost, we would not come back next year looking to increase that amount again, as people's got used to that first year of the revaluation.
And you think that will be adequate to finance the priorities that you will be coming with next year?
Maybe not, but at least we're making some incremental progress in that regard. Like, if I were to advocate for anything, I would say, don't just do nothing in that regard, because it's going to just delay the inevitable that at some
Then it will be a shock when it comes to the reval,
Correct.
because then we won't know where to set it.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, well, now you're raising more taxes. Well, no, we're not. We were trying to save you till this point, redistribute. So, okay, so then I'm more in favor of option 2 with the knowledge, knowing that there are 2 things that we don't really have control about. County property tax in the school. Other than to say, next year, it has to be extremely clear that we try to get as much to the county and say, yeah, you don't need more deputies, you don't need more weird, upgrades or your historic buildings, whatever. We need to get ahead of it, because if not, this is an exercise in futility. And the schools, the same. We just can't. Next year.
I can tell you right now, next year, the schools should be told, we are not raising taxes.
And we
Like
get
we
to
did this
appropriate,
year.
that goes to the tax,
Yes.
to the residents. So
Now.
let them know
those
we're not
actions,
going
what They gotta
to.
do, they better damn well do it.
Yes,
Because
because
like,
we're going to set the
I'm not
money that
voting for it
goes.
this year, but I won't vote for it again next
Well,
year.
next year we'll set the amount that goes if we don't like it. And we're going to have to, because I don't see anything changing. I don't see a teachers union thinking of that before they go to. So I think we're going to have to start thinking along that line too, saying, this is where they were at this year. We've got to keep them flat. We're going to appropriate next year and send that to the voters.
So quick question. So are you guys comfortable with these 3 options, or do you want us to come back with any other options?
No, I like the options. The only thing I was thinking of is the TIF for the sidewalks, and can we pair those up because you said infrastructure earlier, so maybe that's, yeah. Because we could just do the key part of the downtown that the TIF is in for the sidewalks, start there or something. I don't know.
Maybe a police cruiser.
Well, yeah, actually,
Yeah, I don't
we're
have
off
money.
topic. I have some ideas about how we might approach sidewalks, but that's
Well,
for
we-
another
on
day.
the thing.
We had spoken about having Public Works look at the sidewalks and come up with a plan for at least the worst ones.
Sidewalks are $1 million per mile.
That's the same thing as
million,
the sewer.
$1 million per mile. $1 million per mile because none of our, because,
New sewer line doesn't, that reduce the price.
But we talked about doing flat, not
Because-
raised.
because none of our sidewalks meet ADA regulations.
You talked about flat.
Right. Bike lanes rather than sidewalks. Now, I will tell you that I talked with Aaron Chase this week. And when they do Bowden Street over from Summer Street out towards the beach,
Yep.
there's a part of the sidewalk there that he has to tear apart and they're going to rebuild that. And we're going to do another section. So you're going to get some sidewalks. But I would like to look at the sidewalks and see what we can turn into bike lanes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Good suggestion. Okay. I want to just say for everybody here that stayed here for the meeting, but Nick and I may have talked a lot up here, but I do appreciate what you put before us. I mean, I think that, I didn't say there were bad options. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of it. There's a lot to unpack for somebody that's simple-minded as myself. So let's,
I know it's a lot, and that's why, tried to reach out to you guys just to let you know that a lot was coming.
It's still a
And-
lot because I may not understand, and
Yeah.
it helps to have us collectively talking as a group because I may not understand something
And,
that they
and
may
that's
have
why we
already
did
seen.
not want a
So-
decision tonight either. You
No,
guys
no, I
need some time to
appreciate
mull
that.
this over.
So. Speaking to that thing,
Set up. just-
yeah, we'll, I don't think any of us,
I don't know.
I don't think anybody here is afraid of another meeting. So let's just see where we land.
Next time.
Yeah, and I think we can always just add something if necessary.
It's the timeline that we're working with.
Funny you should mention that, Aaron. Well, we need to adopt it in the budget in June, right?
Right.
And we would like to have, it's not required by law, but I think it's best practice 7 to 10 days notice to the public that we're going to adopt the budget so that if anyone
appropriate.
wants to come. So, we could adopt it as early as June 1st. We have a regular meeting on June 15th. We could call a special meeting anytime after that. So we have a regular meeting on June 15th.
So you guys got your thinking toques on, and we'll let, I think we just kind of together. Thank you for putting it together. I think maybe most of us are probably leaning towards your option too, but I think we like to have a few unanswered questions
Understood.
put together. And then
Understood.
I think it'll be helpful as we get some of the bids in on some things too for our next meeting that will help us also kind of put some things in perspective.
Okay.
Okay, so now that I'm completely lost to where we are in this meeting, let's get back at it.
88.
Uh,
Item
no-
88.
No, we're gonna, yes. We did it. We're at 88. Thank you. So item 88, consideration of the minutes of April 6th, April 27th of 2026 council meetings. All in favor? Oh, so good. Sorry. I know. Normally I ask for comments and there's not. I guess I'm just trying to cruise. So here we go.
The 27th, I was on all the time.
Okay.
It said I was on partial. I was on the entire time because I couldn't get on. I was listening. I was on
Okay.
the thing the whole time.
I can vouch. I saw her. I can see her.
Yeah, so I should be.
Want that amended?
Yeah, I would like that amended with,
Anthony, you got that recorded? Thank you, sir. You good with that?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. So second is amended. Excellent. So all in favor? All are in favor. Move on to items 89, consideration of recommendations from the Appointments Committee.
any,
All right, excellent. So if anybody's left kicking around and would like to make a public comment, this is the time to do so. Yeah, somebody can't wait to talk, right? All right. So we're good. Town manager report. Thank you.
So for those of you who haven't seen the email earlier today, I sent out the monthly financials year to date.
Yes.
We're through 84% of the fiscal year. We've spent 79% of the budget, so that's great. And we've collected 97% of the revenue, so that's great too. So we're looking forward. We're in a really strong financial position right now. The town clerk wanted me just to mention, and I witnessed this for myself. I went in there several times this morning to try to talk to clerks, and they were covered up with customers. But our early morning business is picking up.
Booming.
So good. So that's good. They were flat out from about 7:30 to 8:30.
Extra revenue.
This morning. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So did you guys see that our farmers market is going to happen?
Oh, I did not see that.
So it's going to be 2 to 6 p.m. on Thursdays, beginning June 14th.
Where's the location?
In the municipal lot.
Okay.
And so it's going to run through September the 10th. So for 3 months.
Excellent.
On Thursday afternoons.
Well done.
So that's exciting. As I mentioned earlier, we're seeking quotes on a downtown plan, so I have a discussion with another vendor tomorrow. Charter Commission meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Could be the last meeting. Yes?
So, yeah.
Yes.
Feeling it, Andy? All right.
So that's next Tuesday. Absentee ballots are going to be available beginning Monday. So anyone who wants to pick up an absentee ballot can do so beginning on Monday. And at our next meeting, in addition to talking more about the CIP, we will also bring to you a contract for animal control. So initially, the plan was that the animal control officer would be an employee of Manchester. They didn't want to have to manage that. And so we have taken that on. And so they are contracting with us along with Monmouth for ACO services. So it's an interlocal agreement. And so we'll be bringing that for your consideration.
Great.
That's it.
Hey,
I have a quick question, Anthony.
go ahead.
This has to do with restoring an old timer's memory. We, East Winter Improvement Association, town came out of that deal with 100 foot of lakefront in. Was it $90,000, something like that? And I know we approved to put that money in a reserve fund, but I don't remember where we put it. Do you?
Wish Nick were here. Does anyone else recall? I want to say it was where the East Winthrop Beach money went. I think it went
I believe he moved it last year into one.
It got moved.
It did.
Yeah, it got moved, then we all-
He's asking where. I can't recall if it's
Recreation.
recreation, I thought, yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah, because
the
we felt it
reason,
was appropriate.
the reason I asked that is because we're in the middle of doing some improvements down at Norcross. And that there's some stuff that's not worth fixing. And I wondered if there'd be some money available.
There's money in the Norcross
Is
Capital
there?
Reserve.
Okay, yeah, we need, I don't know what, I talked to Kevin about it a little bit, but probably should talk to you more.
Yep.
Or Kevin and I
Talk
should
to
talk
us,
to
yeah,
you or
just get it,
something.
get something proposed.
There's some things down there that the Lions are gonna do the rehab, but there's some things down there that aren't worth fixing.
Perfect. Anybody else? Go ahead, Roy.
Security cameras. Have we done anything with that? Has anybody reached out?
I gave all that information to Chief Ferlin, who provided it to Bill Sullivan, and I haven't heard anything in the last week.
Yeah.
Yes. So just so everybody's.
They were doing that.
What's that?
They said that they would do it.
You know, I spoke for myself as one of seven, but I just want to let everybody know where I stand and where, you know, I kind of assume everybody else does, is that the quote that we had spoke about at the last meeting was way too much money. We don't need a video camera that you can see from Mars. We just need something down there in order, a theft deterrent, but also vandalism proof. And what's that? Yeah.
So Chief, Lieutenant Hammond actually told me after the meeting that those cameras are such that you can actually zero in on someone's license plate. So that's maybe explains part of the cost.
We're talking about spending $1,500 down
I
there,
think that's
repairing the bathroom.
It would be okay.
Repairing the,
3,000 to 5,000, you know.
we need to be covered.
I guess to Roy's point, I agree. But if it's for license plate, we could put a nicer camera at the front. Right, there's only one real way in, right? So we could put it there and put some other. But I think it would deter people. So, and then I have another thing if I
Go
have the
ahead.
floor. So, we're talking about other meetings and that's fine. I'm good with whatever. But however, in 8 weeks, I'm getting married and then I'm going to Hawaii for 2 weeks. So starting June 25th to July 13th, which is a Monday, I'm going to be completely out of pocket. So I can call in if necessary. I hope I don't have to. But I'm just kind of putting that out there now, just in light. If we're going to do extra meetings, I'd like to do it here next
I have
8
a
weeks.
question about that. Will Jim's tuxedo have ruffles?
I can make that happen. So we're still in discussion.
I'm not unopposed to this. Dig it.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
I think we're talking and it's 8 weeks.
I'm happier for him than I am for her.
Can I just say something during the summers? We should probably consider if we can, one meeting a month. I've got 2 weeks in July that I'm going on vacation. I'm not going to be here.
We can visit that.
So we can, we should.
We'll visit that when we get a little closer.
Yeah, I just
After
want
a
to.
night like tonight, I'm all for it.
Yes, right. So, Anthony, I got two things I want to bring up to you, if you don't mind. It was Reed Field that was giving us the balk on the ambulance, right? Did they come around?
I don't want to name names, but yes.
Yes. So they did come around?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the other piece is, can you got a quick, and I don't want to be long because I've been here long enough, but the YMCA update, anything other than what you might have sent us for Kennebec Valley?
No, but I mean,
Good talks.
I was just really encouraged by Lonnie's and how encouraged Lonnie was after.
He was,
speaking with
it was
him.
all
Yeah.
good because I wasn't part of that. So
Yeah.
I knew you are. So thank you. Just a quick update to everybody that I felt like community wise, I've heard good things. So I just wanted to kind of.
Yeah. So we haven't even gotten to summer programming yet. Right now, we're focused on youth sports, which, we don't really have a role in. And they haven't asked us, for anything yet. So.
I'm super happy they're involved, especially with youth sports. I just think it's something we can't get.
And I will say,
lose sight of.
about the ambulance service, we do have an ambulance advisory group meeting on Thursday. And so, we're having lots of interesting discussions with our partners.
Excellent. Thank you.
So I might as well, we were talking about the why, it just reminded me, I'll be conducting a boating safety course at Coventry Watershed Friends in May and at the Y in mid-June. I talked to Jeff Gleason today. The Y, I haven't talked about being open to the public, but he probably would do that. So, since we're on YouTube, everybody can hear that. Those two
Excellent.
courses are going to be available in person.
Great. Thank you. All right.
Last thing.
Go ahead.
So when you have the paving company come out and go downtown, I've noticed that the crosswalks haven't been painted yet.
Yeah, we're on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kevin was waiting for the street sweepers to do their job and then was going to contact our paint contractor.
Public safety tonight.
The street sweepers, is that one that we work with Monmouth on?
Mhm.
Okay, I saw that in there, and so that's what I was just wondering, when they do it. Are we scheduled to do it a certain time?
I think we switch off. We've started.
Yeah.
And so we'll use it a week, they use it a week, we use it a week, they use it a week.
Thank you. Oh, and I did see a note that the History Center will be open during Farmers Market. That was in the notes
Oh, fantastic.
while you were on talking.
Fantastic.
All right.
Motion to.
You give me a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right. Thank you.
So I need 5 minutes.
Okay.
If Anthony wants to sit in, that won't hurt.
I got to.
Unfortunately, it can only be
I got
two council.
a quick question. A quick question.
Well, then Anthony, you can't blame me for you not being informed.
All
Let me get him out of it.
Oh, don't sign that.
Had to work at
No.